Just to remind you once again, we've 2 email addresses, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to write to us. joe@northernsound.ie, joe@shannonside.ie. Back to Europe we go now, and more specifically, the European election campaign. Our aim here at Shannonside Northern Sound is to speak to all of the candidates running in the Midlands Northwest constituency. Today, it's the turn of Anthony Cahill from Irish People. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
And thank you for taking the call. So, Irish People, tell me, is it a grouping of independents or is it a political party which includes a whip system?
No, the Irish People was set up late last year. It's a regular political party. The difference is it was set up for people who would normally run as independents, to give them branding, shared principles, and to help them increase their chances of getting elected.
So do you have a leader, for example? Are you the party leader, or is there a party leader?
I am. Right. I'm the party leader, but there's no whip system. So, while I am the party leader, as required by the Electoral Commission, I don't get to tell them what to do.
All right.
But so we are like-minded and agree on certain stuff that is affecting the nation.
All right. So you're running on, you have a number of different issues I know that you're bringing to, the campaign. And I sense one of the main issues that you seem to be focusing on is the government's immigration policy. What are your main concerns there?
Okay, well, just to step back a bit. Well, immigration is an issue. The overall issue, we've got principles or positions on family, migration, education, free speech, neutrality, rural housing, on it goes. But there are main issues. But our main problem is this, Joe, is that it's our belief, and I think more and more people are coming to the conclusion that, in essence, our leaders have gone rogue, and it's time to replace them while we still have a nation. And one of the pressing issues is migration. And up until now, migration has not been mentioned except for this, supposedly far right. And, I'm far right. Most of your listeners are now far right, according to opinion polls. In other words, regular Irish people have concern about the level of migration and the effect of it on the country. Now, migration, the flip side of migration is housing, which is, obviously a huge issue for people. You cannot house the world and house your own people. Like, the numbers coming in are staggering. Last year, according to Pasco O'Donoghue, approaching 200,000. The year before, in 2022, it was 250,000, according to the Eurostats.
Right. So now we must also make the point that, and I don't have reference to those figures in front of me, but we have large numbers coming into this country because we require them to be participants in our labour force, and without their involvement, our economy would collapse. So there are numbers coming in seeking asylum, there are numbers coming in seeking refugee status, but there are large numbers coming in to work, are there not?
Correct, there are large numbers coming into work, but, the large numbers coming into work, some of them are required, but they're required because a lot of Irish people are leaving, as you know. Up to 70% of young adults are still living at home. So you have a choice: stay in your bedroom, or if you want to leave your childhood bedroom, you get on a plane. So
right, but do we not have full employment, Anthony Cahill? Do we not have full employment in this country? And do we not have a yearning, for the want of a better word, on the part of young people to explore and travel and see the world?
Well, a lot of the young people I speak to want to travel and explore, but we're now into young people who are in their 30s, who've done the traveling, come home, and are still living in the childhood bedroom, and they cannot move on and start a family. So their choice is to stay in the childhood bedroom or re-emigrate. It's the story of we need them. We need them because we're sending a lot of our own people away.
Where are you coming from in relation to a solution? I sense what you're saying is that it's time for us to pause, maybe step back and close our borders. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. You wouldn't close them completely. In other words, you obviously need certain key people coming in now, but this, the generosity we've done by inviting so many people in, and I'm, both as workers and as asylum seekers and their families, is just, the levels are insane.
And what do you say to those who are, where is this country of compassion to those who are genuinely fleeing war, genuinely fleeing what are terrible and desperate situations in countries right across the globe, and they are seeking shelter and refuge? What message is that policy sending to them?
Okay, so Ireland has always been generous. The problem is it's been too generous, and it isn't the people, it's their government and the NGOs have decided to welcome everyone.
But do you not agree that we're living in a changed world, and unfortunately many parts of the world are at war, and therefore many people are suffering and they're left with no alternative but to get out?
Okay, a lot of the people who are coming here are not coming from war zones. That's been shown. We've had wars forever.
I also see that you're of the view, this political party that you now lead, Irish People, you're of the view that, and I'm quoting here, that mainstream media have been captured by extremist NGOs, and these NGOs are pushing globalist agendas. I think what you're saying is we in the media, on behalf of the NGOs, are pushing globalist agendas. Now, that's correct. A conspiracy theory that's as old as the hills, and it's one that is false and without foundation, is it not?
No, it's totally with foundation. It's not just the media. It's also government policy. So you have a situation where you had the likes of Helen McEntee trying to explain why the recent hate speech laws, everyone wanted them when the consultation happened. No one wanted them set on the media and in the working groups, which were populated with NGOs. So, when it comes to the media, they just parrot the NGO stuff.
Representatives, maybe you yourself, but representatives of your party, you've been described as having extreme views on Ireland's education system. And the point has been made by you and others that our children are being, quote, indoctrinated and not educated.
Correct. And, if you look at, I think what you're starting to head towards is some of the campaigns that were done by some people to do with libraries and books. Those books, they made it out to be an anti-gay thing, but what they didn't address is they didn't address the content of those books. And the content of those books, you wouldn't read on your show, but yet you'd give a child to read. So in the case of my own children... But do you agree,
Anthony? Do you agree that at the end of the day, thankfully in this democracy that we live in, there is a way of getting your point across, even if your point is somewhat controversial? If it is delivered in a certain fashion, it will be heard.
Well, you were the first interview I've had during this campaign, so you will hear it. So fair play to you. But there's been interviews going on with RTE and on people who are like-minded by me, similar to me. There is 1/3 of the candidates plus in all of the constituencies, and not one of them has been on any of the main debates in RTE.
Well, I think in fairness, the proportionate, but again, and this will apply to all interviews on this radio station because there are so many candidates and we simply don't have the airtime that one would like to give to all the candidates. So
there's fantastic.
No, there's certain criteria that kicks in, and I can't speak on behalf of other media outlets, but at some stage the proportionality aspect has to kick in relation to numbers as regards representation and that kind of thing. But I would like to, I'm just saying, given my experience in the media for nearly 40 years now, I always make the point to people who are regarded as extreme and far right in their views that maybe they would be heard and seen a lot more if they were prepared to deliver their thoughts, their wants, their needs and concerns in a very respectful fashion and in a way that will not cause offence and hurt to others.
Well, our conversation here this morning has been respectful. See, the Western Europe was built on faith and reason. What's happened in recent years is the reason, the logic, died with the likes of COVID, because the truth suddenly, there was the science rather than science is an ongoing debate. So any alternative voices in the scientific community, whether to do with COVID, to do with climate change, are pushed aside. Right. So that is 1.5 gone of what Europe is built on. The other is faith, which is a value system. With the sort of abandonment of, Christianity in Europe, your value system is starting to disappear. So you have a society that's emerging, that isn't going to be very pretty. Okay. So, that's what was built on. If we don't get back to faith and reason, we don't have a future. It's that simple.
We'll leave it at that. Anthony Cahill, ladies and gentlemen, once again is running as a candidate. He is actually the leader of Irish People, and he will be Irish People's candidate in the Midlands Northwest constituency. And just to remind you, polling day is June 7th. Anthony Cahill, good luck in the campaign and thank you for being with us today.
On FM, online and on mobile. This is Shannonside Northern Sound News.